Welcome to Daytona International Speedway, where we host the Daytona Duels as we begin the second season of the MSCCT, as we will now determine for the first time who will be the pole sitter in the upcoming Daytona 250 as we begin the second season. We are going to hear the start command very shortly, so let's listen in for that.
Drivers, start your engines!
And you just heard the start command there, so now the 21 cars in 11 separate rows will leave pit lane and go around this 2.5-mile circuit under the pacing lap as we are ready to begin the first Daytona Duel. Now in NASCAR, they determine who makes the Daytona 500 through these two duels, but in the modern Stock Car Cup Tour we run things a little bit differently. So the way that we will be doing it is the winner of this Daytona Duel specifically will get the pole at the upcoming Daytona 250. Now, the winner of the second Daytona Duel, which will come almost immediately after this one, will take the outside row. So basically the finishing order of Daytona Duel 1 will end up forming the inside row, if you want to call it that, for the Daytona 250. The second Daytona Duel will end up forming the outside row. So that's essentially how it's going to work, so that these Daytona Duels, they mean something to these drivers, these 21 drivers. Now let's take a look at our starting field. In the front row, we have Stephanie Larson and Creed Daniel. In row 2, we have Luis Aguilar and Dakota Bennett. In row 3, we have Brady Wilmington and David Iller. In row 4, we have Jay Monin and Ryan Adama. In row 5, we have Arthur Xavier and Ryan Armstrong. In row 6, we have Winty Wolf and Santiago Alvarez. In row 7, we have Dan Wilkins and Jack Huston. In row 8, we have Richard Birmingham and Gustav Adolf II. In row 9, we have Shea Derryman and Wyatt Floor. In row 10, we have Nolo Hamilton and Jacob Thibodeau. And in row 11, we have Ethan Mitchell. Now, as the pace car heads off of turn 4, we have a female as the pole sitter here for the first Daytona Duel. Let's see how she performs. The pace car goes on the pit road as they approach the starter's stand. Let's see how this one goes. 40 laps of great racing here at Daytona. Green flag. This almost reminds me of Danica Patrick in 2013. She got the pole at the Daytona 500 and she led a lap. She was the first female to ever lead a lap in the Great American Race. You can see the 21 in that Pennzoil Ford. She's being pushed by the 55 Luis Aguilar. Even though they are not teammates, they formed a good friendship during the offseason in between season 1 and 2. As now Stephanie Larson is breaking away just a little bit. Jay Monin on the inside in that 60 Dodge. But nothing will stop the number 21 car. Stephanie Larson leads the first lap in the Daytona Duel. And Winty Wolf, he started around the middle of the field. He had made his way to the front of the field as Stephanie Larson takes the outside lane. And now Winty Wolf is your race leader, but here comes Richard Birmingham in lap 2. Well, I think it's interesting considering Richard Birmingham, he actually won the Daytona 250 in Season 1. Of course, we had half of the field that we do now for Season 2. We had a 20-car field in the inaugural Daytona 250. Now we have a 41-car field. Before the Daytona Duels, we're running 21 and 20 cars respectively. But it's now Shea Derryman off of turn 4 into the tri-oval. He'll be challenged by Nolo Hamilton, but it's a close finish that will result in Shea Derryman leading the lap by 4/100ths of a second. And now Nolo Hamilton got some good 3-wide pack racing here, as now it's the Swedish native of Gustav Adolf II running in the lead now in that number 14 built Ford Tough Car. We saw this in the inaugural Daytona 250, which was 100 laps. This is only 40. We saw the car, a lot of lane changes, And of course, in the Daytona 250 from last year, we saw that there was only one caution, which was a pit road accident on lap 28 involving Larry Barker and Jeffrey McClintock, two drivers who are no longer in the lead. But Larry Barker's old ride is replaced by Felix Rizzo in the 56, who will be running in Duel 2. There is Ethan Mitchell in the Chicago Blackhawks number 41 Ford. He took the lead and led the lap, but he quickly loses favorability here as they come off of turn 2. Jacob Thibodeau and Santiago Alvarez currently in the lead, the native of Argentina. So you have two international drivers running 1 and 2 right now. Santiago Alvarez from Argentina and Jacob Thibodeau from France, who are both running near the front here in the first Daytona Duel. And Thibodeau, he will lead a lap. We go to lap 5 now. Creed Daniel on the inside in the 28 Xarelto car. They've really been shuffling around a lot, and we've seen a lot of lead changes, but really no crashes to this point. Of course, I could be jinxing myself just by saying that, but right now, David Iller, he is your race leader. In the middle in that 62 car, but you also have Ryan Armstrong making a challenge on the side. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. Ryan Armstrong taking the lead off of turn 4. If we don't see any wrecks in this race, I think that the only factor that will determine who wins this race and ultimately pole at the Daytona 250 will be who is in the lead coming off of turn 4 on the last lap. That's what we'll probably see for both races. As right now it looks like Jay Monin and Arthur Xavier in that number 43 car, driving his way to the lead now. Like I said, going to be a lot of lead changes. I wonder if this Daytona Duel, considering that the first Daytona 250 back in Season 1 had only 20 cars, this is pretty similar to it, because we have 21, so it doesn't feel too different. Of course, it's going to be a lot different when we have our 26 regular season races in Season 2, where we have a 41-car field, all the way from 1 to 26. It's going to be interesting, as Stephanie Larson, your pole sitter, will come back to the field after a half dozen laps and take the lead once again and lead another lap. There's Jack Husky running in the 18. He will take the lead in 5 seconds, as now there's Winty Wolf once again, and we're basically starting another cycle. Shea Derryman on the inside. He will go to the outside and block. David Iller trying to make some moves in the back of the pack. You know, we saw the Bud Shootout in 2012 where Kyle Busch sort of had to make some sort of shootout to take the lead and eventually win the race after timing a last lap pass on basically a slingshot pass perfectly. And he executed it perfectly. Now Nolo Hamilton will take the lead with Birmingham on the inside. It'll be close. And it is 2/100ths of a second that determines that Nolo Hamilton in the 33 Chevrolet led that lap. But now here's last winner, Richard Birmingham, going to the lead, but that will quickly be rescinded and given to Gustav in second as they head down the backstretch once again on lap 8 now. No cautions and very, very just, I guess, this is the definition of pack racing. Somebody goes to the outside and somebody takes the lead. It's that simple. There's not much conflict so far. They've basically been running very uniform without much issue at all. As Luis Aguilar back to the lead. Thibodeau on the inside. Oh, that was once again very close. It seems like each leader that we have, they come out of the tri-oval, or they come into the tri-oval, and they always have somebody on their inside willing to go back, and it's always just a few hundredths of a second that determines who leads the lap. That's what we can see here, coming up on 30 to go in this first duel. I mean, obviously, because this is a NASCAR Racing 2003 season league, which, of course, if you're unaware, is a famous racing game made by pirates for 17 years. It's still very much thriving in the community. In the racing community, there's also iRacing and the NASCAR Heat Series for the console, but Many fans have stayed loyal, including myself, to NR 2003, and that's why we have this offline league here, as Jay Monin did not lead the lap. It was Creed Daniel who led the lap, but he was on the inside, so at one point he was destined to take the Now you have Ryan Armstrong running on that inside of that number 12 car, based off of Ryan Blaney's scheme. And now Ethan Mitchell once again getting himself back into the picture. And like I was talking about, if we take a look at the 33 car of Nolo Hamilton, he was leading laps just a few laps ago, and he is already at the last place. So that kind of shows how everybody's kind of shifting through the field, and there isn't really much to it. Armstrong coming back into the trioval. He will once again lead lap 10. And Shea Derryman trying to make a move on the inside. Stephanie Larson, Richard Birmingham, and Jack Husky also maybe in contention to take the lead in that. They are running on the inside, and they are running pretty consistently as well. As yes, I was correct. Stephanie Larson back to the lead on the 11. And like I said before we started this race, it's going to be who will be the leader on the last corner of the last lap, because that will most likely determine who's going to win. Right now, on lap 11 out of 4, nobody can tell who will end up being the race winner. As now Richard Birmingham coming off of 4. Whoa, we're going to see a wreck. Caution is out as Creed Daniel and Ethan Mitchell will wreck. The yellow flag is out. We will race back to the line. If I'm not mistaken, the caution came out. No, we are still green. I apologize. Let's take a look at the instant replay right here of what in the world happened between the 28 and the 41. I was surprised that a caution never came out, and I just checked with the game. The cautions are on. So you can see they're coming off of 4. Jay Monin kind of peeks inside to the 41, and he just makes contact on that left rear quarter panel. He ends up turning him into Creed Daniel. Luis Aguilar also made contact, but I think because they were at the rear of the field and they were also headed towards the grass, Creed Daniel was able to take control of his car almost immediately, and Ethan Mitchell basically just spun. So right now, no caution, as Luis Aguilar seems to be tailing back in the field just a little bit, because he got a little bit of nose from that accident. But I'm a little bit surprised that the officials didn't throw the caution, because it was a 2-car wreck, and I guess with Ethan Mitchell and Creed Daniel being involved, they didn't seem to go to pit lane. They just seemed to have a little conflict. As on lap 13, we can see Jacob Thibodeau back in the lead. As you can see, the skid mark still on the track from that previous incident. It makes you think, what could it entail for the rest of this first duel? Like I said, I was a little bit surprised that the officials didn't throw the caution flag because of, you know, the accident. I know that it was just a 2-car spin, but a 3rd car was involved, and it was near the rear of the field, but there were several implications that could have taken place from that accident, but it's definitely not going to help, considering that this is going to determine qualifying for the race. So if you look at the positions right now on our scoreboard, you can see the 28 is running in 20th, the 41 is running last, and the 55 is running about 2 seconds behind the leader, and of course that could get worse. He's not really maintaining race speed, but they're all packed together anyway, so it's not like it matters a whole ton. I mean, it does for the individual drivers, but not for the pack in general, because they're probably not going to run into that much lap traffic throughout the race. But right now, that will probably mean that Ethan Mitchell could start last in the Daytona 250 because of how his car ended up, you know, getting a little bit damaged there. He probably wasted a little bit of his tire wear because of the fact that he spun so much in the pavement at the trioval. As now Stephanie Larson racing her way back to the lead, and I thought we saw a car spin. Maybe I was just seeing things. I'm not exactly sure, but I thought that we saw a car spinning. But I apologize, that is incorrect. cars spinning right now. Jack Husky to the lead here on lap 16 of 40 at the first Daytona Duel. Winty Wolf back to the lead in that number 3 car. Even in real life, the 3 car has a lot of influence in auto racing in general, considering that the famous Dale Earnhardt drove it. You can see he's even got the same sponsor, Good Wrench in the Chevrolet. Dale Earnhardt won the Daytona 500 in 1998 and unfortunately passed away in a tragic accident at Daytona International Speedway. Whoa, we got another crash. It's the 87 of Jacob Thibodeau. He slides through the grass. He comes to a sort of a cut through in pit lane. But once again, we are still green if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we are still green. You can see Jacob Thibodeau, he's going to pit lane. He's going to be getting a little bit of help with the damage on that race car. Let's take a look at the hood of the 62 of Brady Wilmington. You can see he's on the inside. The 16 probably took a lead going into turn 3. But yeah, that was a little bit interesting. We've seen 2 spins in the exact same spot, and Richard Birmingham got loose off of 4. I think he got turned by the 14. They made contact. They're running 4 wide, and they're going to wreck this time. The caution will wave, as you knew it was going to happen somewhere. We have a wreck on the front stretch in the tri-oval at Daytona. The caution comes out on lap 18. Let's take a look at the instant replay here. As you can see, obviously tensions have been rising for a long time here in this specific part of the specific part of the racetrack. We saw Creed Daniel and we saw Eason Mitchell as well get into a little bit of an accident earlier. And then we also saw Jacob Thibodeau just 1 lap ago spin in the exact same spot. It seems like this part of the track is where we're going to see a lot of conflict in these duels and maybe at the Daytona 250 as well. You can see the 14 of Gustav Adolf II getting into the left rear quarter panel and of Richard Birmingham, sending him loose, but also getting turned by the 92 of Ryan Adama. Jack Husky involved, Winty Wolf in the 3. Looks like David Iller got involved, but I want to also show what happened to David Iller after the accident. You can see he runs into the outside wall, which, you know, shouldn't be too bad. But watch the 01 of Dakota Bennett. Just watch frame by frame. He just plows into the rear of that 24 car, probably sending the 01 to the garage. But right now, that was a pretty bad crash. As you can see, almost everyone is going to pit lane, including your race leader right now, Brady Wilmington. Let's see what happens right now. Basically, every car is on pit lane right now, and I don't think there is a single car that won't be going to pit lane. As you can see, everybody's basically got damage, but no, the 87 of Jacob Thibodeau, he is a lap down, so right now he is probably doing the wave around so that he can get back onto the lead lap. And we have confirmed that the 01 of Dakota Bennett will be going to the garage after taking that hard lick into the rear of the, the 24 of David Iller. I mean, that was a pretty hard impact, and I don't think Bennett really saw where he was going. He was just trying to avoid the accident, but eventually made the accident worse for himself. So he will be going to the garage as Jacob Thibodeau gets to wave around. Let's see who won the race off of pit road. Looks like it was Jay Monin who won the race off of pit road. Let's do a little instant replay. You can see right here, here's the, you see Stephanie Larson. Yeah, that is Jay Monin, Santiago Alvarez, Richard Birmingham, Dan Wilkins, Brady Wilmington, Stephanie Larson, Arthur Xavier, Luis Aguilar. All those guys, they're leading the race on the pit road. But Jay Monin, your race leader. Interesting what we're going to see with the 87. He's going to go to the rear of the field as he will be a wave around. As right now the field is still trying to get themselves sort of situated. Alvarez is going to go into second position because he was the one who finished the second off the race for pit road. But right now, caution is out for the first time at the first Daytona Duel. after an accident involving the 14 of Gustav Adolf II, Ryan Adema in the 92. We saw Winty Wolf get into it, Jack Husky as well, David Iller, Dakota Bennett eventually going to the garage. As we can see there, the 01 of Dakota Bennett was really the only car that went to the garage. Everybody else seems to be okay. If we look at pit lane here, nobody is left on pit lane, so we should be fine. But Shea Dairyman, he will go one lap down since he is still on pit lane, so he's getting a lot of repairs done. He got a little bit banged up in that accident as well, so forgot to mention him. But yeah, he's getting a lot of repairs done, so I wouldn't be surprised if he is essentially out of the running for right now for the winning of this Daytona Duel. He'll probably be starting at the rear of the field for the Daytona 250. Or near the rear of the field, since we obviously have the 01 of Dakota Bennett, who will be starting last. He'll be starting 41st. But, of course, even in a 41-car field, that does not mean that we haven't seen upset winners at Daytona before. We saw David Reagan win here in 2010, I believe. We also saw Trevor Bayne win the Daytona 500 in 2011, one of the greatest Cinderella stories of all time. And of course, there was that infamous red flag at the 2012 Daytona 500, where Dave Blaney was in the lead with 40 laps to go, but unfortunately couldn't hold on and ended up not winning that race. But that would have been amazing. That would have been amazing if they ended the race with 40 laps to go, because that was one of the most painstaking red flags of all time when Juan Pablo Montoya crashed into the jet dryer in Turn 3 as we go into Turn 3. Right now, your top 10 being Jay Monin, Santiago Alvarez, Richard Birmingham, Brady Wilmington, that's your top 5, followed by Stephanie Larson, Arthur Xavier, Luis Aguilar, Wyatt Floor, and the 28 of Creed Daniel, who was involved in that accident earlier with no caution. Caution lights are off the pace car as we are in turn 4 of Daytona International Speedway. We are just about ready to go back under green. We will be under green on lap 22 of 40 in the first duel of 2 at Daytona. This will determine qualifying for the Daytona 250, which will take place sometime next week. But the pace car will make his turn into pit lane. Jay Monin, Santiago Alvarez, Richard Birmingham, Dan Wilkins, and Brady Wilmington. Green flag. The single file restart is definitely interesting, but we'll see how it pays off, with Jay Monin in the lead and Richard Birmingham already making a move to the inside, trying to do something with that 47 Camaro. Of course, there's a lot of dodges up front in this one. Dan Wilkins, Santiago Alvarez, and Jay Monin all running at the front with dodges. Richard Birmingham on the inside of the 60. It looks like even though they have the single file restarts, they are already going to go back to pack racing by the time we're in turns 3 and 4 of the first lap back under green. Right now, Brady Wilmington trying to make a move on the inside of the 47. Who will win the race back to the line? It will be Birmingham by maybe about half a car. And that is 3/100ths of a second that Birmingham led that lap as we're on now lap 23. And he almost got hooked by the 60 of Jay Monin as he will fall back in the line. But that was definitely a little bit interesting. We could have had our second race just like that. But we got ourselves a little bit lucky as Stephanie Larson is your race leader. Arthur Xavier also a little bit on the inside. Luis Aguilar being pushed to the lead now. Creed Daniel behind him. Aguilar leads the lap. Now he will essentially have a little bit of room to himself to work with, as Ryan Armstrong and Jacob Thibodeau are really the only threateners right now. Of course, that will probably change as we go on. turn 3 now. Ryan Armstrong on the inside of the 55. Wyatt Floor also trying to make a run. Santiago Alvarez moving a little bit to the inside, and Wyatt Floor even getting moved a little bit. But he will not go to the floor right now. He remains in the middle lane, as he will finish that lap second, as we're on lap 25 now at the first Daytona Duel. They're running 4 wide. That can't be good. Alvarez gets hooked a little bit, and he gets pushed to the inside line. That really can't be too good, and that's maybe a little bit of foreshadowing that could say that we will have a caution later, considering that, I mean, the 16 could have wrecked the entire field. All 20 or so cars that are running in contention right now, with Alvarez in the lead, Wilkins running second. Of course, Alvarez, Wilkins, and Monin, all teammates of Dan Wilkins Racing. Wilkins moves to the inside. Alvarez left for himself the race back to the line. Alvarez leads the lap by, wow, that was extremely close. Just 1/100th of a second. That's very, very close. But Wilkins, the 3 cars in Dan Wilkins Racing, the 77, the 60, and the 16, all running up front. Wilkins loses the lead, and he gives it to his teammate, Jay Monin, and the 60 Coca-Cola Challenger. Just remember, even though we're on lap 26 right now, that does not mean that we will. That doesn't mean that, you know, whoever is going to be in the lead now is going to win the race later, because whoever is, like I said multiple times before, whoever is in the lead on the last corner on the last lap will probably win the race. But even that's not guaranteed, because Daytona is known to produce great finishes almost every time we have a race here at the 2.5 mile oval. 3 wide racing now. Thibodeau on the inside, on the outside, and Stephanie Larson in the middle. They'll break up a little bit. Also, a little bit of an update. Ryan Adema, who was involved in the accident on lap 20, is still in pit lane. He is 4 laps down, 99 of Shea Derryman. He is back on the track, but not nearly racing at fast enough speeds. And now, officially, as we talk, Ryan Adema headed to the garage with a header issue, of course, from that accident on lap 18. Thibodeau now in the lead. Creed Daniel running behind him. Luis Aguilar, Wyatt Floor, Ryan Armstrong, and Dan Wilkins all on that inside line. Thibodeau and Creed Daniel move up to the outside line, with Luis Aguilar in the middle lane, Wyatt Floor on the bottom lane. The 87 and the 28 are creating a little bit of a tandem where they're, you know, racing each other pretty closely, and they have a good pact going on. They've been racing 1 and 2, you know, basically right behind each other for a little while now. And that's pretty good, as we now go to lap 29, 12 laps to go. And now they finally break up that tandem as Thibodeau loses the favorability to draft and gives up the lead to the number 28 Daniel at Xarelto Toyota. Wyatt Floor kind of breaking from the draft as well. He got his advantage from the 28. He will use his aerodynamics now to move to the inside, as now we will once again have 3 wide racing. Creed on the outside, Wyatt on the middle, and Dan on the inside. It's the 77 of Dan Wilkins that will race to the lead now on lap 29. He'll once again lose the draft a little bit. He'll go to the outside lane. Arthur Xavier on the inside. He will successfully block the 43 as we now go to lap 30. If we take a look now, the 99 is running in turn 2. It could definitely mean that we could see the 99 have some implications traffic-wise a little bit later. You can see him. If we take a look at the roof of the 77, you can see in the distance. And we've had problems just like last year with lap traffic being in the way and causing disruptions, but I'm sure that these about 15 or so cars running at the front will try to minimize that as soon as possible, or as little as possible. As they start to creep up on that 99, they will run to the inside, but Dairyman blocks the 77. He is the race leader, and he just got blocked by a lapped car, who is now 2 laps down as the 77, which remember is my car, is now blocking everyone else. I don't know how hard it is to just move out of the way. This is the exact same problem we had last year with lap traffic getting in the way. It ultimately didn't play a factor in who won the race. But now you can see the big lead that the 77 has. He's going to eventually catch up to the rest of the pack. Or the rest of the pack was going to catch up to him. But now with 9 laps to go, he has the biggest gap yet for a single lap, which is 0.24 of a second. Oh, he almost blocked the 87, but it was unsuccessful. I told you the pack was going to catch up to him at some point, as now Brady Wilmington in the 62 straight Toyota will get to the lead. Creed Daniel switching over 3 lanes to slide into the second position behind the 62. Luckily, the lap traffic of Shea Dairyman is no longer. He has fallen to the rear of the field. And right now, if you take a look, we still have 19 cars on track, 2 cars retired, Ryan Adema and Dakota Bennett, both involved in that lap 18 accident. And essentially, I'd say 13 cars running for position right now, because you also have Jack Husky, Gustav Adolf II, one of Ethan Mitchell, Winty Wolf, and David Iller, who were all involved in an accident on lap 18. They were all basically a mini big one. I don't know how much a big one can be in a 21-car race, but that's essentially how it is, because you know, you have at least a half a dozen cars involved. That's a big percentage of your race field. So when you only have 13 or so cars running for position and jockeying for the win with under 10 laps to go, it makes you think a little bit about who's going to end up winning this race. Brady Wilmington is going to lead his second lap in a row with Stephanie Larson behind him, Luis Aguilar running in third, and Richard Birmingham running in fourth. Larson might try to make a move on the inside. Wilmington wasn't fast enough on the top line, which we know the top line has not worked, period, in this Daytona race. It didn't work last season, and it hasn't worked this season so far. Even in our 30-lap test race that we did in the Discord server, which of course is not being uploaded to YouTube, we even saw that the outside line did not work. The inside line at Daytona International Speedway is essentially reigning superior. Doesn't matter how much of a good car you have, it is not going to really work in the long run. Now, Jay Monin running on the inside, Luis Aguilar on the outside. The question is, who will lead the race back to the line? It will be Jay Monin, with Aguilar and Creed Daniel essentially finishing identically for second and third. So they're doing the pack racing on lap 35 with 6 laps to go in the first Daytona Duel. Outside to the inside. That was a smart move. He knows what he can do to keep the lead. Stay on the inside. Don't let anyone else get in your way. But he kind of just broke that right now as he goes to the outside and lets Santiago Alvarez in. Oh, that is close. It is 1/100th of a second back to the line. 5 laps to go from Daytona. Santiago Alvarez, the Argentinian, now as his teammate Dan Wilkins in the 77. He is back to the front of the field. Wilkins in the 77 being challenged by the 87 and the 33 of Nolo Hamilton and Jacob Thibodeau. Thibodeau and Hamilton still running 2 and 3 respectively. Alvarez losing advantage. Wilkins will come off of 4. He will lead the lap. 4 to go, coming up as they cross the start-finish line. Brady Wilmington now running on the inside. He's got a chance to win this thing. These 13 cars or so that are still in contention, all basically within a half second of each other, racing-wise. It is anybody's game still with 4 laps to go, which for Daytona, honestly, isn't really that shocking. Brady Wilmington running to the inside once again. Stephanie Larson helping the 62. Wilkins losing the draft a little bit. The 87 might help him, but he's already lost the lead. It's Brady Wilmington in front with 4 to go. Coming off of 4. 3 laps to go in the Daytona Duel, the inaugural one in the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour. How about that? Brady Wilmington in front. Wilkins falling back, still in the top 5. Currently running in the 5th position behind Luis Aguilar. Ryan Armstrong in the 12. He's on the inside. Wilmington essentially fighting for position, trying to keep his position with 3 to go. But I think we can say Wilmington might not win this race because he's in the lead at this point in time. We've not seen anyone keep a lead for more than 2 laps. And the only time we did was under caution. As Richard Birmingham, last year's Daytona 250 winner, we didn't have the duels back then, but we do now. He's running in the 2nd position behind Brady Wilmington with 2 laps to go. And he will successfully block the 60 car of Jay Monin. Jay Monin in the middle. Larson and Wilkins get a little bit loose on the high line. Creed Daniel in the 28 Xarelto Toyota will be on the inside line coming off of turn 4. They will come back into the tri-oval 3 wide, 2.5 miles remaining in the first Daytona Duel. Creed Daniel, Wyatt Floor, and Jay Monin, they have 4 more turns to go to determine who will be the pole sitter in the Great American Race. Wyatt Floor in the 0 car. He's got a little bit of an advantage. He's being pushed by the 16 of Santiago Alvarez. They were going to run a little 4 wide, but that seems like that never came to fruition. Wyatt Floor in the lead. On the back straightaway. Santiago Alvarez on the inside. He has a chance, but the 0 car tried to block the 16, but he couldn't get down in time. Coming off of turn 4. One final time. It's Santiago Alvarez, the native of Argentina, on the inside. Checkered flag. Santiago Alvarez wins the first Daytona Duel and will be on front in position number 1, pole sitter of the Daytona Duel.
Sorry about last week again. Did an awesome job. Way to go there, big boy. Good job.
So how about that? Santiago Alvarez in the number 16 Yoo-Hoo Dodge Challenger is now a pole sitter. He wasn't even in the league in Season 1. I think a quarter of these guys running are rookies because we had 10 full-time drivers and 10 AI drivers in the first season, and now we've got 41 full-time drivers. They will go to pit lane, and even though Santiago Alvarez isn't in the front of that crowd, he will go to victory lane as a winner of the Daytona Duels. We'll see you guys for the next Daytona Duel, which will be coming up very soon in the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour. Welcome back to the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour. You just watched Daytona Duel number 1, then I guess you're in the right place since we are now doing Daytona Duel number 2. That will determine the outside row for the Daytona 250. We will hear the driver command very soon. Let's listen in.
Drivers, start your engines!
And we just heard the driver command right there, so now These 20 cars will now head off of pit road and go over the 2.5-mile circuit at Daytona International Speedway. If you're coming from Daytona Duel number 1, Santiago Alvarez just beat out Wyatt Floor in the 0 car at the line to win Daytona Duel 1. He will be the pole sitter. So this one is a little bit less significant, but still very meaningful in the implications for the qualifying for the great race here in the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour, kicking off the second season. We have 20 cars here that will form the outside row. The winner will be the second, or will start second in the Daytona 250. And with that being said, let's take a look at our 20 car starting field for this 40-lap dash. In row 1, we have our pole sitter Chase Buck and the 6 car of Ty Rogers. In row 2, we have Greg Shetner and Leo King. In row 3, we have Ariya Carmona and Tim Moore. In row 4, we have Christian Coppola and Carl McKinney. In row 5, we have Jay Bird and Mitchell Collins. Row 6, we have Agristo Papageorgis and Sean Derringer. In row 7, we have Kyle Driscoll and Faris Khalil. In row 8, we have Darian Armsdorf and Cole DeMarco, Season 1's champion. In row 9, we have Patrick Starr and Jackie Everett. And in row 10, we have, I almost said Larry Barker. He was driving in that 56 car in Season 1, but that is Felix Rizzo in the 56 and Esco Lauder. So the pace car will come off of turn 4 as this 20-car field gets set for a 40-lap dash at this great Daytona International Speedway to determine the outside row for the running of the kickoff of the regular season at Daytona, which will be a 100-lap race, but this is 40 laps each. Buck and Rogers in the front row, they go to the starter's stand, and we see the green flag, so we are underway in the second Daytona Duel. Turn 2 on the first lap, we can see Leo King is the new race leader here already on lap 1. He recently became a father to a newborn little girl. I'm sure a Daytona Duel win, or even better, a Daytona 250 would be great for that number 17 Miller High Life Toyota. Here is Ariya Carmona in the Samsung Chevrolet in the number 54 blue and black car. He will lead the inaugural lap in the second Daytona Duel. For those who did not watch the first Daytona Duel, we saw a lot of lead changes and we saw a lot of 3-wide celebrations. Exactly what we're seeing now. There was one caution on lap 18 where there were about a half a dozen cars getting just all kind of bunched up on the in the tri-oval. 2 cars were out of the race because of it. That was Ryan Ademer, and that was a 92 car, and the 01 of Dakota Bennett. They both did not come back to the race, and there were 2 cars that were a lap down as well. And it was a great race overall, especially since there were spins that didn't warrant cautions from the officials. And I thought that was maybe a little bit odd, considering that they literally spun. We had a 2-car accident involving the 28 of Creed Daniel and the 41 of Ethan Mitchell, which did not warrant caution because they were near the rear of the field, which I thought was interesting, as now Jackie Everett in the number 34 Chevrolet will come off of turn 4 and lead lap number 3 with Faris Khalil on the inside in that 76 PlayStation Toyota. Right now, all 20 cars running near the front. It's going to be something like we see in the Bud Shootout almost every year. We're going to see cars go to the rear of the field and work their way back. Only in maybe a couple dozen laps, they can go from first to last and back to first again. We are going to see a lot of interesting action here from Daytona International Speedway, especially if this race ends up turning out like it did in the first Daytona Duel, with only one caution and a finish. Here is Esko Laukkanen in that 45 EA Sports Toyota going to the lead, a native from Finland. We have a lot of international drivers this year, one of them being Esko Laukkanen from Finland. We also have Gustav Adolf II in the 14 Ford. He is from Sweden. We also have Faris Khalil in the 76 from Canada. And we also have the 16 of Santiago Alvarez from Argentina. So we got people from North America, we got people from South America, we have people from Europe, we have people all over the field here in... Oh, we got a little bit of a wreck in the back there. That is Darian Arnsdorf and Patrick Starr taking a huge lick, no caution. Looks like it was a two-car wreck. King will now go to the front of the field. But let's take a look at the instant replay here, because I want to see what caused Patrick Starr to hit the inside wall so hard. Well, let's take a look here. You can see Patrick Starr and Darian Arnsdorf, they're both running near the rear of the field. So I think this is exactly what we saw in the last Daytona Duel, where somebody gets into the left rear quarter panel and just collects a few cars. Now, Darian Arnsdorf goes into the inside wall, and Kyle Driscoll in the 80 is essentially just turning around the 08 of Patrick Starr. He's got to try to hold on to it, and by that point, he just backs into the wall hard. We'll wonder if he will not end up going to pit lane, which I think is a little bit surprising, considering the circumstances. I mean, look at how badly that 08 car is it's kind of just all beat up. It's got a really bad back end to the car. It's going to be interesting, but as we go to lap 7 now, it'll be Aria Carmona leading the lap. Felix Rizzo, formerly driven by Larry Barker. He got 2 wins in the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour before leaving the series after season 1. He won at Atlanta and Kentucky, respectively. Kentucky is no longer on the schedule. But now Larry's new driver, the number 56 car, Felix Rizzo, is falling back a little bit. Now we have Season 1's champion with 409 points. Cole DeMarco, he will lead a lap. He won 4 races, including at his home track of Watkins Glen. In the first season, he had an extremely successful season. He had a terrible start. He had 3 DNFs in the first 5 races, including DNFs at Atlanta, Rockingham, not Rockingham, excuse me, Atlanta, Martinsville, and Bristol. But he still came through with 4 wins, one of them at Watkins Glen, and he also won the second Daytona race, which was and still is the last race of the regular season before we have the One Race Champions Lottery, which will be race number 26 on our schedule. Faris Khalil now coming back to the start-finish line in that PlayStation car. He will lead a lap as we go to lap 9. Still checking in on the field now. The 08 of Patrick Starr is now 1 lap down in the 08. He will probably be on the... Oh, we got a big crash! Jay Bird! We have a huge crash here in Turn 2 involving Felix Rizzo. It's a 3-car accident. Caution will wave, and I think we even have more trouble. We have Carl McKinney, Christian Coppola. What in the world? Caution is out on lap 9. They'll race him back to the line, and it will be Kyle Driscoll who will lead lap number 9 as we go under caution. Greg Shetner with a completely torn up front end. He'll be going to the garage easily. But let's take a look at the instant replay now to see what caused this wreck, as I was talking about Patrick Starr, who was involved in a wreck as well. You can see here, they're going into the corner, and I think Once again, somebody must have touched the quarter panel of Jay Bird. Yup, that is exactly what happened. Carl McKinney came down, or Jay Bird came down on the 89 of Carl McKinney. Greg Shetner had nowhere to go. I mean, he just, as Jay Bird came up the track, he got absolutely pummeled. And then also the 54 of Area Carmona spins Christian Coppola in the 31 and Carl McKinney. So it was sort of like a two wreck system where Area Carmona. Oh no, that's not what happened at all. That's not. I thought that the 54 spun the 31 and 89. That's not what happened. If you take a look here, 31 is coming back onto the apron, less than gracefully, and they just kind of get into it, and they both kind of, in a synchronized manner, go around. The 54 never touches the 89 or the 31. But I think easily we can say the 61 of Greg Shetner is going to go to the garage. As you can see, he is already off of the racetrack. Kyle Driscoll and Leo King, they're running 1 and 2 right now, as basically every car will go to pit lane, except for the 08 of Patrick Starr, who will get the wave around and be back on the lead lap. Let's take a look for our leader, Kyle Driscoll. It looks like there's no need to repair any damage. He'll probably just take fuel only. And that's exactly what will happen, as Kyle Driscoll will take fuel only, as the race off of pit road will be Ty Rogers. Ty Rogers must have had a really darn good pit stop, since he will win the race off of pit road. Agristo Papa Georges in second, Kyle Driscoll third, Esko Laukinen fourth, and Leo King fifth off of pit road. That's definitely good right there, but Ty Rogers winning the race off of pit road, and Patrick Starr in the 08. You can see the rear end of that car just completely torn off. We'll be back after this. We are back here from Daytona International Speedway in the second Daytona Duel. We saw a big crash involving Greg Shetner, Jay Bird, and Felix Rizzo, along with Carl McKinney and Christian Coppola, in sort of like a break-off wreck. As the caution lights are off, the pace car's lights are off. That means we'll be going green next time by. Ty Rogers, Agristo Papa Georges, Kyle Driscoll, Esko Laukinen, and Leo King running in the top 5. You do see Patrick Starr in the front, but he is currently running 18th since he got the wave around. So he is not in front. He is running 18th right now. Unfortunately, because of the accident, the 56 of Felix Rizzo and the 61 of Greg Shetner did go to the garage, as I expected, considering how catastrophic their damage was on the front of their race cars. Patrick Starr was the only one who did not pit on that lap 10 caution. So he will run 18th. The pace car now coming off of turn 4 with, as they say, and then there were 18. With 2 cars going to the garage, Ty Rogers, Agristo Papa Georges, Kyle Driscoll, Esko Laukinen, and Leo King in the top 5. Patrick Starr will run in the front of the field as we go green on lap 14. We saw in the first Daytona Duel that even when they run single file, we will always see people break off from that line as soon as we get into turn 1. Right now, the 08 car is running really slow. He's acting like a lapped car, but remember, he got the wave around and he has a ton of damage on the backside of his car. You can't blame him for not running as fast as the other cars are, because remember, he's a damaged car. He was involved in a lap 5 crash, which didn't warrant a caution, but he will easily be passed by Agristo Papa Georges from Greece and Esko Laukinen from Finland, as he will essentially just easily make his way to the rear of the field. And we saw Ty Rogers, he's essentially being held up by the 08 car. And Esko Laukinen will lead the lap there, but I mean, the 6 car led the race off of pit road. He was in a great position. He was in a incredible some spots back as far as below as the race leader, but he basically got pushed back because of the whole situation involving Patrick Starr in the 08. About to run 3 wide again. Faris Khalil on the top, Tim Moore in the middle, and Season 1's champion Cole DeMarco in that MBNA Ford on the inside. You can see Patrick Starr easily falling to the rear of the field. He is not going to be one that's going to really be competing. He is technically a lap down, so that's kind of why he got the wave around, so that maybe he could prove himself and get to the front of the field again, but just like that, he is 1 lap down, and like we said, the 56 of Felix Rizzo and the 61 of Greg Shetner, they are out of the race. They are just gone because of that accident on lap 9. I mean, they had so much damage on the front of their car. I just knew from the second I saw that crash, there was no chance they were going to get those cars repaired in time to have any shot. I mean, they could get back on track, but it would be very, very difficult and just would not be sustainable for them, as Chase Buck ends up leading his way to the front of the field. He will lead lap number 16. Chase Buck goes for the 31 of Christian Coppola, who was involved in a separate accident on lap 9, which was basically just Carl McKinney and Christian Coppola tangling together. We saw Coppola hit the safer barrier on the outside wall, but he's apparently running well enough with a new rear end on his race car that he's running in the 4th position right now with a chance to take the lead as we approach the halfway point in the second Daytona. Right now, Chase Buck still holding his line. He has led the past 2 laps as Ty Rogers will make his way back to the front of the field. As he was held up, like we said a few laps ago, by Patrick Starr, the lapped car. They're going to run 3 wide again. Chase Buck with a bit of a dangerous dive down there. He basically cut across 3 lanes. You know, if anything, in real traffic, if you cut across 3 lanes, you might get beeped at. If you cut across 3 lanes at Daytona International Speedway at 183 miles an hour, you might get turned on your lid. I bet that doesn't happen on Route 66. A lot of cars funneling in to the rear line. Chase Buck now holding his line. And that number 19 Reese's Toyota. Faris Khalil also trying to make a little bit of a run on him. He got the draft, that's for sure. The question is, will he be able to capitalize and take the lead? He's on the outside now. Faris Khalil in the middle. Tim Moore on the inside. Tim Moore is the race leader. Mitchell Collins, that number 2 Valvoline Ford, which was formerly driven by Henry Rogers. Of course, Henry Rogers had one of the worst seasons in Season 1, didn't pick up a single win, and had an average finish out of the 20-car field of 15th. He didn't have anything that was really disadvantaging him, but he had extremely bad luck, would almost always start near the rear of the field, and out of the 24 races on the schedule, had 9 DNFs, which to this day, I mean, I guess you could say it's a record, but at the same time, this is the 2nd season. It's a very small sample size. I wouldn't say it's the right time to start mentioning records and streaks and everything like that, because it is just way too darn early. Tim Moore in the number 13 Geico Camaro will lead the lap by 0.2 of a second. The biggest gap we've had today for a lap led. Agristo Papa Georgios. The modern Stock Car Cup Tour is the Greek Freak. I know the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA, they have Giannis Antetokounmpo, but in the modern Stock Car Cup Tour, we have Agristo Papa Georgios. A native of Athens, Greece, which is the capital city of Greece. Also also where Giannis Antetokounmpo from. But Agristo Papageorgis is in the lead. And Agristo Papageorgis in the Galaxy Air Toyota will lead. Now I know if you Google Galaxy Air, which I certainly did, because that's what Agristo told me his sponsor was. He told me his sponsor was going to be Galaxy Air, and I was like, okay, that sounds cool. So when I look it up, I realize that it is a airline based out of Kyrgyzstan, if I'm not mistaken. If I go on my phone right now and look up Galaxy Air, you will see essentially the Wikipedia article which says, and I quote, Galaxy Air was an airline based in Kyrgyzstan. Oh, as we got Tim Moore in the wall, I think he's got a flat. And no, they're just wrecking behind him. Caution will wave as we have a big wreck, as I was talking about a Kyrgyzstan airline. Caution is out on lap 23. Faris Khalil, Sean Derryman, Christian Coppola involved in his second accident of the evening, and Jackie Everett, all involved in that accident, as I was too distracted talking about an airline which was banned by the European Union. So the pace car will now go on the backstretch, and it will pick up Agristo Papageorgis as the leader. So let's take a look at what happened on lap 22 that caused our second caution flag of the afternoon. So essentially, these cars are running on the outside line. I wonder what could have caused this, because Khalil's on the inside. Oh, Khalil just gets turned. He gets hooked by the 31. They're all going into the wall just like that. It's a 5-car wreck, 6-car wreck. Looks like DeMarco got a little bit scratched up, but it doesn't look like it's anything too bad, because you could technically say Mitchell Collins got a little bit of damage on his right rear quarter panel. But I think easily the guy who took the worst damage was either Jackie Everett or Faris Khalil, because he was the guy that got turned in the first place. So he took a hard lick into the wall, just like that. Sean Derryman also not helping his car any in that accident. I wonder if Aria Carmona got a little bit involved in that too, because he was also riding up against the wall. Oh yeah, he got pushed into it as well, but not nearly as bad as anybody else. Pit road still remains closed. Right now we do have the 15 car of Jay Bird, Christian Coppola and Faris Khalil. They are on pit road right now. So I think that what they're essentially doing is they're just kind of making repairs at our cars and hoping that they can still at least do something in this race as we look for the race off of pit road. It's not really much of a race because Christian Coppola will win it. Only 2 cars going to pit lane this time around. I don't know exactly if we'll see other pit stops per se as they come off of turn 2 in lap 24. It'll be interesting to see, considering the current situation. We saw pretty much everybody, almost like a competition caution on lap 9 after that accident. They all came in for pit stops except for Patrick Starr. But right now, everyone is staying out because I don't think they need to make any more changes. It's only been a handful of laps. There's no need to come in right now. So that is kind of, I think, the strategy. As right now, Agristo Papageorgis in the 44, the Greek Freak, he is in the lead at Daytona in duel number 2. We will see coming off of turn 4 as we're coming back now, Agristo Papageorgis. Kyle Driscoll, Chase Buck, Esko Laukkanen, and Ty Rogers in the top 5. Patrick Starr on the inside. He is a lapped car. We also saw Sean Derryman go to the garage. He is the 3rd car to end the race early in a DNF this evening as we go green on lap 27 now from Daytona. The inside line might get a little bit bunched up because of Patrick Starr kind of hogging it a little bit. But right now, Agristo Papageorgis and Kyle Driscoll, they're going to get a good run. Remember, the 0-8 is 1 lap down. And they're still shuffling around just a little bit. but Agristo Papa Georgis, your race leader. He dives from the top to the bottom once again. Driscoll on the outside, Chase Buck and Esko Laukkanen trying to make a little bit of a move here, as Agristo Papa Georgis leads the lap number 27. As they're still shuffling around, Cole DeMarco switched lanes a few times in between the tri-oval and turn 1. It seems like once they get on the back straightaway and once they get off of 4 and into the tri-oval, they end up switching lanes every chance they get. But like we said, it was a last lap pass from the 16 of Santiago Alvarez that gave him the eventual win. There's Leo King on the inside, for Papa Georgis. And now coming off of 4, Leo King, like we said, newborn father to his wonderful daughter. He is now the race leader on lap 29, 12 to go. We only had 1 caution in the first, so this we've kind of beat that out with 2. Leo King running in the lead. Ty Rogers, Chase Buck on the inside. Cole DeMarco and Damian Arnsdorf on the middle lane, and Agristo Papa Georgis and Esko Laukkanen on the outside. But Ty Rogers also made a little bit of a switch. He went from the bottom to the top and now back to the bottom, and he'll try to chase down the 17 of Leo King. On the inside is Ty Rogers as we go to 11 to go. Rogers will probably take the lead at this point as Leo King has lost the favorability in the draft. Chase Buck and Ty Rogers going at it in the 1-2 spot. If we take a look at the fastest lap from that previous lap, it was Tim Moore, who had a 48.354. He held the longest lap, or excuse me, the fastest lap here so far in this second duel. But right now it's Chase Buck coming off of turn 4 as we go to 10 laps to go. 25 miles remaining, if you want to call it that. 10 laps to go from the second Daytona Duel from the outside row up to Daytona 250. One of the greatest races in the modern Stock Car Cup Tour, and also in NASCAR, and basically every other series in NASCAR. Whenever it comes to stock car racing, one of the biggest events is whatever happens at Daytona International Speedway. It doesn't matter if it's the Daytona 500 to Daytona 250, the Next Era Energy Solutions 250, which is what I think the Truck Series calls their race. But it doesn't matter what sponsor you tack on a racetrack, it doesn't matter what sponsor you tack on a car. All that matters is the engine and, you know, the car's reliability at the end of the day, and if you can get to victory lane in one piece, that's all that matters. Chase Buck, still your race leader, but Cole DeMarco also making a threat. Middle lane, he's the race leader, but Leo King and Esko Laukkanen also making a little bit of a formation to get to the front as well. Let's go. Field is kind of spread out a little bit. I'd say it's still about 11 cars that are still really in contention. You can see it kind of goes all the way from the 17 to the 31 of Christian Coppola. And then it kind of falls off with Mitchell Collins in the 2. And then we have Carl McKinney, Jay Bird, Jackie Everett, and Ferris Below that are way off pace. Patrick Starr at his 1 lap down. And then 3 cars with Shea Derryman, Felix Rizzo, and Greg Shetner that are all going to go to the garage and all out of the race at this point. Esko Laukkanen to the lead as they come. Ty Rogers behind him, Kyle Driscoll in 3rd, Leo King in 4th, Agristo Papa Georgis in 5th. They start to scramble a little bit. Agristo Papa Georgis trying to change lanes a little bit. I can't imagine he'll do too much shifting considering he's now in the middle in a 3-wide formation with between Buck and Lee. But now Esko Laukkanen in the 45 EA Sports Toyota Camry will come off of turn 4 and lead his second consecutive lap as we go to 7 to go right now. Ty Rogers running back to the lead. But that lead might not last long for the 6 car of Ty Rogers, considering that Esko Laukkanen is also on the inside once again. Laukkanen back to the lead, so Ty Rogers' lead didn't even last a lap. That's a little bit sad, but now Laukkanen is back in the lead. He will lead his 3rd straight lap. 6 to go as they finish 3 wide behind him. Laukkanen trying to distance himself from the rest of the pack. He's trying to make as many blocks as he can so that he can end up in victory lane and start on the outside row in the Daytona 250. We'll see what happens, but right now it's going to be interesting to see who will end up prevailing, because in Daytona Duel 1, we saw a last lap pass. And don't quote me on this, but I have a strong feeling that barring a late caution that would end up ending this race under caution, don't be surprised if we end up seeing a last lap pass for the second time in what you could call shortened speed weeks. As we now have 5 laps to go, 10 miles around this Daytona International Speedway in this oval. Cole DeMarco running 2nd, Kyle Driscoll running 3rd, Chase Buck running 4th, Leo King in 5th, and Esko Laukkanen, the native of Finland, running in the 1st position. Right now we have Faris Khalil in the number 76. He is a lapped car, but he is slowly getting approached by the lead lap. You see him in the distance. He's only a few seconds ahead of that 45 car. It'll be interesting to see the implications from this. You can see him on screen now as they go into the tri-oval. The implications and the consequences from this could be large. With 4 laps to go, it could shake up the field if the 76 doesn't get out of the way. The 45 will duck down, but those some cars won't get as lucky. The 19 and the 27 got a little bit bunched up. Or excuse me, that's not the 27, that was like the 80 of Kyle Driscoll, since the 27 of Sean Derryman, he is in the garage. Esko Laukkanen still in the lead. Not too bad, though. Not too bad consequences from that last, I guess, lapped car kind of shuffling through the field. Leo King now on the inside. Ty Rogers running in 3rd position, and Esko Laukkanen in 1st, but that might not last long. With 4 laps to go, Laukkanen loses the draft a little bit. He's going to have to race it back to the line. It will be Leo King who will lead. Now with 3 laps remaining in the 2nd Daytona Duel, who will finish off that front row for this Modern Stock Car Cup Tour race. Right now, the leader is not Leo King. It is now Ty Rogers once again. Rogers in the number 6 car. We have a little bit of dirt coming up back there. I wonder if somebody was sliding through the grass. If you take a look, the 13 of Tim Moore, what will happen to him? Tim Moore is going to pit lane. Let's take a look what happened here. It does not warrant a caution, but I just wonder what happened that caused him to have this. Doesn't look like much. It looks like he's just going to pit lane. With 2 laps remaining in the 2nd Daytona Duel, we're a little bit back now, as Leo King and Ty Rogers are side by side, jockeying for the lead down the back straightaway. They still have a little bit of dirt coming up. I just wonder what happened to the 13 of Tim Moore. I feel a little bit bad. But it is what it is now Ty Rogers falling a little bit back. He might fall outside of the top 5. But Esko Laukkanen in the lead, coming off of turn 4. We have 2 laps to go, and once we cross the start-finish line, we will have 2.5 miles remaining at Daytona. 45-1, 98, number 2. 1 lap to go. White flag. Esko Laukkanen going into turn 1. He probably is a good shot. He's led a few laps today. But of course, it doesn't matter how many laps you lead, since it's not going to have any implications on the points, considering this is a non-points race. Right now, they're running a little single file. Ty Rogers trying to move to the inside a little bit. Darian Arnsdorf in the 98. He's also trying to get to the lead. But Esko Laukkanen, he might break that little streak that we have. We might not see a last lap pass. Laukkanen just has to hold them off for one final turn. I think he's got it. Coming off of turn 4, in the land of Scandinavia, Esko Laukkanen has won the second Daytona Duel.
Good job, brother.
Esko Laukkanen, the last driver to submit a paint scheme for the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour. We got it in today. And now Esko Laukkanen, the native of Finland, will go to victory lane in the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour. Darian Arnsdorf second, Ty Rogers third, Colton Marco fourth, and Agristo Papageorgios in fifth. So that will conclude it. Right now, the front row of the Daytona 250 is currently looking like Santiago Alvarez on the pole and Esko Laukkanen in second. So we'll see you guys next time for the 100-lap, 250-mile battle at Daytona International Speedway in the Modern Stock